Into Mercury retrograde. I'm really excited, knock on wood, that I haven't had any technical difficulties yet this morning. However, it's still only 10 o'clock. So I'm giving a good berth here for more technical difficulties. I can say I'm ahead of the game. I'm on a number of chats with different tarot readers and different workers, and they're struggling with YouTube, Twitch, Zoom. So yeah, just taking it slow. So today I do want to explore what we can expect from the next week. I like to give you guys a couple of days to think about and start to get ready and prepared. And a lot of times what we can work on at the beginning of the week, we can start to incorporate now. So for this reading, I'm going to be reading from September 11th through the 17th. This does incorporate the middle of the month and our first full week in Mercury retrograde. So to add some fun and play, I have here, this is the Northern Animal Tarot. It was created by a lady in Edmonton. It was a Kickstarter. I believe she's now on the second edition of this deck. I love it. It's kind of fun and playful. And I did go with straight up playful. This is the Oracle of the Shapeshifters. I wanted that fun, that play. A little bit of laughter goes a long way. That happiness, that joy, it's only going to feed us. All right, let's get into this. What can my friends expect from the week of September 11th through the 17th? Now, this is number 3 or day 3 of this week's readings. This is not a typical week for me, just because we had the full moon, Mercury retrograde, and then the reading. Next week, you guys get my healing on Tuesday for sure. And I did mention yesterday, it's a stability healing. So it's going to help with that grounded and stable energy. So they'll come in on Tuesday, and then Friday, I will be live again with your weekly reading ahead. So it's not as reading full. Now, we're starting off with the Six of Pentacles. This is a really important card right now, especially because it talks about that energy balance. We're going to have to be very conscious of where we're directing our energy, what choices we're making, and that we're coming from a very stable and balanced space. Hence my healing on Tuesday with the grounding and stability, right? It's like the girls on Tapped In or something. So making sure that we have that stable energy so we can make the right choices. Where are we directing our energy? Where are we directing our time, our resources? We need to balance things out so we can make the best and most informed decision for ourselves. I believe you guys got this card yesterday in your reading for Mercury retrograde, but this is the Four of Pentacles. That grounding and stability is going to be needed. However, we don't want to go to the extreme. It's going to be an easy slip because we want to protect ourselves. We want to cocoon ourselves. We don't like this energy. We don't like this uncertainty. So we tuck ourselves in and try and shelter ourselves, protect ourselves, and that's not going to help. Grounding, absolutely. Stability, absolutely. However, we don't want to disconnect ourselves. We need to be mindful of that. Hence why we brought the Six of Pentacles out first, because we want that balance. So balance and grounding is going to be important. But we don't want to kind of overswing and overshoot that to disconnect us from our chakras working well, from grounding with Gaia, from connecting into that high vibrational insight and aha. I love this deck. It has a few cards that are deck specific. They're more of an oracle card. And you guys got one. This is very much that fall scene, right? Little squirrel with the fall and the big mushrooms. Don't forget the joy and the wonder. The leaves are starting to change. Knocking on wood that, and like I said, a lot of times where I'm from, the snow takes the leaves off the branches rather than you get that beautiful fall crunchy. So don't forget to enjoy. Part of that balance is not being so caught up in our head that we're micromanaging us and attempting to micromanage others. Again, that will be a stumble. Take that time to enjoy the beauty. Enjoy this right here and right now. It's going to go so far in helping you to overcome those challenges, to feeling good. And that's a big part of this, because we do get that disconnect. We get so caught up in our day, in our world, that we miss out. Okay, let's break down this week a little bit here. What can my friends expect from the beginning of the week? Okay. Keep it on the table. All right, so we're going to start off with the card that fell down and fell face up. This is the World, the 21st card in the Major Arcana, and it talks about that next chapter. The more balanced and grounded we are in a positive way, where we're able to control that energy flow, yet not so tightly that we're, strangling ourselves, the more we're going to be able to, embrace that next chapter, that next step. This fall card very much connects into that. We're not transitioning to fall yet. However, we're getting kind of that preview in many areas. Taking time and starting to reflect into what's been going on, but on the positive spin. Don't focus in on that negative, because that's going to debilitate you right now. And we're easy drawn to the negative, because there is such a chaotic energy in play with Mercury in retrograde. So taking that time, focusing in and celebrating your wins, and then also nurturing yourself through some of those stumbles. They're not a loss, they're a stumble, and we can learn from them. However, we need to stay in that balanced, stable energy and releasing that pain rather than letting it consume us. The Chariot, the 7th card in the Major Arcana. We're getting kind of on that Major Arcana kick. That next chapter, it's oh my God, words are hard normally. Now they're just like beyond words. We're starting to move forward. That next chapter is a movement forward. How are we going to move forward? Well, it is going to be that reflection in. Where was that stumble? Stay in your head, not in that heart center. We don't want that pain and heartache to come forward. We want to be able to clear our mind, think about what we've, overcome. What did we succeed in, and what are we learning? What did we learn from this experience? Not the pain, not the fear or the anger or frustration. What did you learn? What pattern keeps coming up? There are patterns and symbols throughout our lives. It's up to us to be present for them. So the beginning of the week, we do have a lot of opportunity to start breaking some of those patterns and moving ourselves forward. How do we do that? Again, we go back to that balanced stability. The Chariot, he drives his, I think they're called were-rabbits, with no reins. That's a big part of the Chariot. It's not about taking control and micromanaging. He lets go. He has that balance. Normally, the steeds are a black and white. These were-rabbits are brown. He is in the snow, because this is the Northern Animal Tarot, but usually they're black and white. So know that very controlled balance is going to be needed. I know we like to take control in our world, in our lives, because we do feel out of control. We're trying to compensate. The one thing that you can control is your response and your breath. Those are things we need to start to take control of, not trying to control situations, events, people. That never works. And let go of that. Start to control how you're responding, what you're learning. Start to take control and accountability for you. Continuing on our major arcana, we have the Hierophant, the 5th card in the major arcana. He's our teacher. He's our gatekeeper, keeper of keys, keeper of opportunities. Now we have 3 major arcana. Major arcana are bigger life experiences or major life experiences. So we have that shift. We have that ability. We're able to shift out of what we don't want and into stuff that is going to be more, in what align with what we need. Yes, the Hierophant does talk about church. It does talk about that societal norm. However, it also has these hidden keys, these hidden opportunities. He's the teacher because at one point in time, the church was in control of the schools. So that's the history of that. But it's going to be that teacher. And it's not just one teacher. Please don't minimize your experience to one person because it's one person's interpretation. Open your mind and your heart to many different teachers. Be open to their information and then reflect on it. Does that sit okay with me? Does it feel right? Maybe part of it does. Maybe none of it does. But put it down. Take that information with you. You can put it in your spiritual binder and reflect back on it. There's stuff that I've read and people I've talked to where I'm like, you know what, that doesn't sit with me. That doesn't resonate. And that's okay. That teaching was something that they've worked with on their journey. So aspects of it may resonate true with you or stuff may not. Know about it and do that with that information as you need. It may be important in the future. It may not. But keeping that information, being that life learner will be important. Rounding her all off with the Empress, the 3rd card in the major arcana. We're looking at that fertility, again, that grounded, stable energy of creation and abundance. The beginning of the week, we're still feeling the full harvest or full corn moon, that very abundant moon. So we have that in play. We still have that ability to tap into that energy. Again, can be one of our teachers. Teachers are not always a person at the front of the class. Teachers can be children, they can be animals, they can be experiences. Like I said, this is an opportunity to break some patterns. Mercury retrograde can be challenging. However, it doesn't give us a pass on working on self and making improvements and challenging us in a positive way, rather than some of those energetical challenges that we're going to be dealing with and interpersonal challenges that we're going to be dealing with. So take some time at the beginning of the week to really work on you. Connect in with some of those important pieces. All right. And of course, you will have my meditation on Tuesday. And like I said, it's a stability meditation, which will help. Let's go on to the middle-ish of the week. What does the middle of the week bring, my friends? So the middle of the week, we are like right smack dab in the middle of the month. So we are very much at that middle point. So know that the dancer or the world is not a one-day thing. You're going to feel the world over the next, I would even say, until the fall equinox, which is on the 21st, I believe. 22nd. Now it's, let me bring up my calendar. Words are hard and numbers I hate. So, it's a good swing. The 22nd. So know that it's going to be in play until that point, because with the world, you have a period of reflecting on what you've experienced, celebrating it, learning from it, taking that recuperative breath before going forward. Now, even with that reflection, even with that recuperative breath, restorative breath, you're going to see that movement. Because again, reflecting in what worked, where did you stumble? What was that stumble about? What did you learn from it? Is it a pattern that keeps coming up? The King of Swords, Mr. Spock himself. Oh, and I should say it is September 9th. So we're looking, no, is it Star Trek Day or is that, well, that was 2 days ago. So I apologize for all those people I missed 7 of 9. So September 7th was 7 of 9 day. Okay, so Mr. Spock himself, we've got the King of Swords. You need to be using our head. It needs to be logical. Like I said at the beginning of the week, we do have some major shifts. Now, I don't mean changes. We're not looking at a leap of faith here, guys. That's not stable. That's not something that you can go forward on. You need those small shifts with those steps forward. We're looking this week, we've got 2 pentacles and kind of almost like an oracle card. Pentacles are a very slow growing, slow moving energy. When you look at swords are a little bit faster, cups are a little bit more faster, and then the wand is like whoosh, up you go, right? So know that we've got that slow, stable growth. We do have the Chariot, but the Chariot is not really moving quick. It's slow and steady. Usually, the Charioteer, the original card, it's like a concrete chariot, and the Sphinxes are like, yeah, I don't know if I want to work, but yeah, I'll move you forward a little bit more. So that's an important part. Staying in that frontal cortex, so thinking, processing, creating, we need that energy. Right now, though, with Mercury in retrograde, it's going to be a bear because we want to react. The energies are very tingly and reactive. People are not entirely comprehending what we're trying to say. We're not entirely comprehending what they're saying because of the miscommunications that happen during Mercury retrograde. So staying in that frontal cortex will help us to process, to problem solve, rather than react when people react to us or start to bark at us. We take that deep breath. Again, taking control of us on how we respond, and then thinking it through, processing it. Rather than reacting with our heart center, we need to use our head. The more we're in that Vulcan state where emotion is not going to be the best, we do need it, but it is very illogical. We stay in that thinking, we process rather than react. And we have the Queen. So we've got the pair right in the middle of the week, very much that thinking and that picking ourselves up. Like her husband, the Queen likes to use her head. She's learned a lot. Unlike the King, she's learned everything through, well, the hardest way possible. She's learned through those hard knocks, those life experiences. Every time she was knocked down, she picked herself up, dusted herself off, learned from the experience, and moved herself forward. We need to embrace that energy, that persona of the Queen, where we are using our head, we're using our resources and our tools to pick ourselves up, because it's going to be challenging. We do not want to bring in the Ice Queen persona, where we have void of emotion, or what's worse, we start to put a very thick piece of ice between us and the rest of the world. It's an easy thing to do because, again, we want to protect ourselves, and it's not going to help us. I talked a lot about this yesterday, and I like the fact that I've done these 3 readings and how they're coming at the situation in different ways, however, having a very similar message. Because we did talk about that barrier, that protection, and how it's not going to help us. It's actually going to hinder us, especially hindering us from this major arcana kind of tastic start of the week. Because like I said, this will cascade up until what I'm hearing is the fall equinox. Let's go on to the end of the week. What can my friends expect from the end of the week? Now, I should mention, of course, we have the duality of the king and queen there. So that balance, again, hidden in plain sight, that message, but it is a reminder that it is still there. And that's part of tarot, is that it's not just so much what the card means, it's the interaction between the two cards or the group of cards. And then also that intuitive connection. Trusting in that in like those words. And sometimes it's words that it doesn't make sense. I usually just say the word going, I don't know what it means. I don't know how to respond to you, but this is the word I keep hearing. Continuing on our journey into the swords, the Four of Swords. No, those swords are not going to impale him. No, he's not hurt in any way. This is a rest and rejuvenation card. The stability of the four with some very much needed rest and rejuvenation. It's going to be a hard week, so make sure that you're using your head. Schedule in some time for you to rejuvenate, to recuperate. Do some R&R stuff. Do some creative stuff. You're getting out of your head, getting out of that heaviness and into some fun. So like I said, fun is going to be helpful. Those laughs will be so needed right now, especially as people really start to be overwhelmed by the Mercury words are great. Mercury retrograde challenges. So rest and rejuvenation, it will help with that stability. Now we do have the double fours. In angel messages, when you have that multiple four, the angels are reminding you it's time to focus in on that structure and that stability, that groundedness. Let's get another one. One of spring or summer. Like I said, we're not quite into fall, but we're not quite into summer. There is still remnants of both in your world. At the end of the week, make sure that you're giving that homage to what has been. Yes, it's been a very hot summer. However, it's been a very full summer. A summer where we've finally been able to open up and start to do some of the things that we love to do. So take that time. Part of our reflection can be some of the stuff that we've been doing that hasn't happened in many years. I believe you guys got this card. I can't remember if it was the full moon reading or the Mercury retrograde reading, but the Page of Cups. This reminds us, like I said, of that play, of that fun, that joy, that excitement, that enthusiasm. It's easy to shift out of that excitement and enthusiasm into fear, into anger and frustration. It's going to be our choice. Going back to that Six of Pentacles, we need to be very mindful of our choices, where we're sending our energy, what we're doing, how we're spending our time, who we're spending our time with. So making those very clear choices. And what's more, the Page of Cups adds in that very much needed flexibility into our world, encouraging us to be less rigid with those expectations and demands and more flexible. So it may not be how you perceived, and this came up in our reading yesterday, that perfect or perfectionism. It may not be exactly how you expected it. However, we need to embrace it as it's coming forward to us, whatever it may be. We can learn from that, and we're going to grow a lot more because we're not trying to fit things into a small box. We're allowing that rainbow to grow and thrive as it's coming forward. the Seven of Wands. This does not surprise me. Talks about that conflict. It's going to be an ongoing thing, especially over the next 3 weeks. We're going to see that conflict. We're going to see that anger, the hurt, the pain come up again and again. Again, when that happens, you need to use your tools, your supports on how you can kind of de-escalate that situation, dump the energies, protect yourself from some of that aggression and frustration, including the aggression and frustration that we have to ourselves. Got some tools here for you. First of all, if it's stuff towards ourselves, I did a balancing meditation. I think I've done a couple of them. There's some balancing and forgiveness meditations with Archangel Raguel and Archangel Zadkiel. So you can go into my Archangel playlist and see which one fits right for you. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I give you guys the guidance and the tools to support you in overcoming some of these challenges. Because they're not easy, they're not fun. So I do have 4 meditative playlists, 4 healing playlists. I've got a mindfulness playlist. They're all supported in a guided experience that are free for you to use as you need. Oh, I'm doing well. Sorry, I didn't see had responded. So if I don't acknowledge you right away, it could be that I'm just channeling stuff in the live chat. So taking a gamble, welcome. So back to what I was saying. You can use those supports as you need. Now, for that external piece, I would suggest working with some of the protection stuff. I do have a meditation in my Just You and Me playlist that is a protection meditation where we're using the divine feminine, divine masculine. So we have that balance with Archangel Michael to really give you some added energetical protection. Also, if you've had a hard day, if it's people that you're really struggling with, and you can say, you know what, me and this person had this conflict, or I really am struggling with this person. I have a cord cutting meditation with Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael that can help sever that energetical connection so they're not taking from you anymore. And if all else fails, if you're just coming home and you feel really heavy and gross, you may want to take a shower. Just as you're going into the shower, to give yourself 5-10 minutes, ask the high vibrational beings to come in and support you to release the heavy, the low vibrational energy and replace it with high vibrational energy to recuperate you. You'll really feel that at the end of the week. So it's an easy tool. It's not adding a lot of extra. It's just something we do, and you can do it any and every shower or bath you take. Go in and take it and just let that heavy and gunky flow off of you as the water surrounds you. For my crystal friends, for stability, of course, I always recommend my fave. This is Tiger Iron, IRON. It does have tiger eye in it. That's why it's got the tiger part. And it does have some, there we go, the ribbing, just like tiger eye. That can help for some of that heavy gunky that we're feeling. Something like this. This is labradorite. It's a gray kind of, again, it has a bit of ribbing to it. It's kind of a gray purple color. That will help for calming. Amethyst. For clarity, you can go with the smoky quartz. Using things that are right available, your tools. They're there. That's why we have them. It's important we use them. All right, let's see what else will help. What will support my friends in overcoming the challenges that are presented to them this week and embracing the amazing opportunities that the week is offering them? The mermaid of immersion. Completely committed. Yeah, we're going to have, like, this actually touches in on that water to support us in that immersion, in that really being present and being able to dump what we don't need and embrace what we do. That immersion, being totally immersed in what's happening in the here and now. It also talks about that very, oh my God, words are just really out of my mouth right now. That commitment to self. We need to make sure that we are here for us and we're not doing this just because someone told you it was a good idea. We need to have that buy-in, and we need to be that active participant, which I talked about yesterday and the day before, about that active participation, staying in the here and now. Elizabeth and the Lion. It's time to become a great leader. So for all my friends who are in mourning because of the passing of Queen Elizabeth, my heart goes out to you. It was quite the shock, as many of us did believe she was immortal. But she does teach us, again, going back to those teachers, how to stand up. She stood up to some crazy things in her 70 years of reign. And what she experienced was, well, beyond words, right? So that's the type of energy we need. We need to have, well, that Queen of Swords energy where, yeah, you dust yourself off, you stand up. We're touching in that homage of the lion. So we're touching into that strength card where we are using our abilities. We're being our authentic self, our complete self, to overcome the challenges that we're being faced with. Very appropriate. A twist in the tale. The unexpected, a change you did not see coming. And it's not just one thing, because this is Mercury retrograde. There's a lot of things coming forward. Is it Tower worthy? The Tower card's not on the plate, so no. Will it feel like it? It might. Especially if we are in that point of pain and heartache. If we're overwhelmed by those challenges, if we're allowing our heart center to bleed and explode, we will feel very much like we are under fire from the Tower. So using your skills, your tools, and taking that breath, taking control for you, you're going to be able to, well, process and be flexible for the changes that are going to be unexpected, because they will happen. They always happen. It's just this week, it's going to stand out more because we're already at a point of, well, tension. 2 kittens. You must choose. Goes back to the 2 of Swords. Did we have that in this reading? We had it in the past reading, but it does go back into choice. We have to choose. Where does our energy go? What are we going to do? How are we going to move forward? This talks about that active participation. We're not going to make the wrong choice. If we make a choice that isn't for our greatest good or for our highest good, again, that's a learning point. We can learn from it, break patterns, make shifts in our world, in our everyday, that bring about the change we want. When we say we're going to change something, a lot of times that kicks up our ego. But if we start to make shifts and small steps towards a change, the change comes slowly and subtly, and our ego doesn't respond. It's not as, well, life-provoking and anxiety-provoking. It's more something that's subtly come in, and it doesn't aggravate your ego. It's easier to maintain and sustain. And that's what we want. So this week does give you a lot of opportunity. You need to be present, grounded, and balanced. And that way you can make the best choices for you. I want to thank you guys so much for muddling through as words are becoming harder and harder as I speak. And I hope you did enjoy this weekly review. It's going to be a bear, but we knew that going into Mercury retrograde on a full moon in Virgo. It was like, yeah, we just knew, right? However, challenges, once accepted, can be worked through. Now, if you did like this reading, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And more importantly, don't forget to subscribe. I've got a lot more guidance, support, and tools coming forward. You don't want to miss any of it. Additionally, if you want extra supports and extra tools, I do have a Patreon page where I give people even more of that. I've provided a link below, so why not go check it out? Again, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a fantastic week where you are able to have some fun, play, and you get some great movement for you. Until tomorrow, my friends.